Grand Rising, Mi5, my people, my family, my tribe. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day today, and I hope it's been successful. Today I've been thinking about how we are always given the opportunity to be grateful for something, and obviously, right? But today I've been very grateful for the ability to just be like, wow, I actually spent my time wisely today. I actually spent it how I wanted to spend it. And today I have Mr. Michael J. Wall. He is an insurance and real estate agent. And I met Mr. Michael at a networking event, a local networking event here in Sacramento. And I see this guy. I'm like, why did this 25-year-old dye his hair gray? And I was like, no way. But no, so the rest is history, right? Me and Michael met, and the rest is history. So, Michael, how's it going, man?
It's going great, Andrew. I appreciate you guys inviting me on. I tell you, I've had a good day today, and like you said, connecting with you at the event that we went to, the networking event, it was really amazing, and getting to know you was amazing. I mean, I like your philosophy in life, and I'm right along there with you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, it just in general, like it has to be something that you feel good about every single day that's on your mind. It's like a lot of people tend to lean more towards just being like, oh, well, I'm a realist and I just like everything is not good. The facts just say that everything is bad. So, that's just how my life is. But honestly, man, you have to look at it a different way, which honestly here, anyone who's on this show, we're already very privy to that lifestyle. I'm sure. But yeah, man. So I mean, I know a little bit about you, and Brian does as well. But if you want to give a little autobiography of yourself really quick, just so the viewers kind of have a knowledge of your background, who you are, who's Michael.
Well, I was born and raised in New Jersey, and came out here to California via the U.S. Air Force. Um, got out of the Air Force, got into the healthcare, and I was in the healthcare industry for 30 plus years. And then I retired from that. But during that whole time, while I was in the healthcare industry, I had this entrepreneurial bug that just kept nipping at me. So, I followed a few things, had a few small businesses, and then I ended up landing into the real estate world, which was easy for me to do because I only had to work 3 days a week. And
Right.
so during that free time, I was able to just go ahead and pursue my real estate. Um, Eventually, I was able to retire from the medical field, and I had more time on my hands, even though I was doing the real estate. And in between that time, I found that someone invited me to an event. And they talked about financial services, they talked about insurance, estate planning, things like that. And I was like, this is very interesting stuff because it's things that I've never heard of. I've been to school, I've been to a lot of different trainings, and I said, how come I've not heard about this? So I dove more into that, and what I did, I said, you know what? In my head, I said, more people need to know about this. I talked to so many people that say, I never heard of that. I don't know about this. How come no one ever told me? So my thought was, you know what? I need to just go ahead and spread the word, spread the love because people need this information. It's a vital information. And so I'm just going to go out there and spread the word.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, when you're able to let your passion serve people, it becomes a purpose. Passion and service is purpose, and so you're living that, man, and that's awesome. So one of the things that you recently did was you had your symposium.
Yes, we call it our Seeds of Wealth Financial Symposium. That was an awesome collaboration. So we had quite a few professionals there. We had five speakers. We had one person who spoke on personal credit. We had another person who spoke on business credit. We had a CPA. We had the financial services, which is mostly the insurance. And then I spoke on investing in apartments and syndication. So with that combined, I mean, we touched a lot of people. We had About 70 plus people attend, and it was well received. People were like, I never heard of this information. And how do I get started in this? And how do I do that? How do I clean up my credit? How do I get involved in the business credit? How do I invest in multifamily properties? You know, oh, I never heard about this type of life insurance. I want to really get to know more about it. So it was well received information.
I love it. Yeah, no, it's doing events is something that's like it's actually a lot easier than people think. You find a venue, you get people excited to come, and you find people to be involved, and then you just do it. It's
Right.
really not super hard. Yeah, I mean, like, so you know who inspired me to start doing it was actually Glenn from Black Business Clique.
Okay. Okay.
After seeing him, I was like, "What the? This is like." All he had to do was get an event, post on social media, or like get a venue, post on social media, and like I could do that. That's easy. Like I wanna get in on some of the sauce, you know?
You know, Glenn and Tina, they have such a pull. They're like magnets when
Yeah.
it comes to people, and I really respect and appreciate them because they really helped me orchestrate the Seeds of Wealth Symposium because
Mm,
of their reach. They have such a strong reach, and people just jumped on board, and they were just, you know, because they trust and know them. They just said, "I'm in."
absolutely. I mean, well, they're visionaries, and they really are very good at that. Getting people excited and making people feel like they can do it too. Honestly, is what I've
Oh yeah,
noticed. Yeah, and you hear all the time, like, you hear all the time, how do you, eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Well, I used to take that saying and kind of put a little spin on it, like, how do you change the world? One person at a time. Well, yeah, you could change the world one person at a time. However, by doing events, you can grab a bunch of people and and actually impact their life in such a more meaningful way because now they're surrounded by like-minded people all around them, and you're up on stage impacting 100 or more or maybe less in some cases lives all at once. So
right.
it's just like it's so effective.
I mean, our goal is to do multiple events and take this. So we're going to do our next Seeds of Wealth. I call it 2.0. And the goal is to do it down in Southern California. So bring it to Northern California, Southern California. Um, and at my church, I had a lot of church members who attended, and they actually said that it would be nice to have this done quarterly. So I don't know if we have that kind of time, if we're doing it both
Yeah,
in Northern and Southern California, but the fact that it was so well received and that people see that the need for that type of information is out there, and we just want to fill that need.
100%. Absolutely, yeah. So one thing that I'm curious about is when you're doing these events, what are some of the what are some of the techniques or ideas that you kind of expand on that that allow you to simplify the information to make it more comprehensive for people that may have zero financial knowledge at all?
Well, I guess to answer your question, we don't make it complicated as far as how we say things. We just bring it down to, not to say elementary, but we don't
Right.
speak a lot of the jargon per se, industry jargon. We just tell people this is what's available. So let's say if it's a life insurance policy, like we're talking about, instead we'll mention IUL or Index Universal Life. But what we tell them is that it's a policy that you can add cash to, and you can grow your wealth inside of that policy. So to make it more simple, it's like we just explain what it does, and you can grow cash inside of a policy. And at some point, as you grow that cash, you are able to borrow from yourself and use that money for whatever you want. So
Yeah.
that's one example. If we're talking about things like investing in apartments, what I tell them is that, when you look at an apartment complex, because most people can't take that down by themselves, but if you pull your money together and leverage each other, in other words, work as a team, each one put in just a certain amount, a smaller amount, then you can take down that big, as you say, elephant. And
Mhm.
with that, you develop a you grow your wealth, and you're able to get a better return on your money. So most people understand return on money and return on investment. So we just tell them you get a good return on your investment. And we don't always go technical as far as you're going to get this specific return, but we say our goal is to do high single digits to double digit returns.
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the keys to being a financial teacher is learning how to not dumb it down, but put it into layman's terms because, people don't like what they don't understand, you know? And
Right.
that's why there's so much bad mojo around, like, well, it's hard because, since they don't teach it in schools, a lot of people, and a lot of people, a lot of families, like, shy away from like, talking about it because 'cause they're like, "Oh, talking about money is bad," like, "Rich
Hmm.
people are evil, so we can't talk about
Right.
money," you know? And, it's just being able to actually articulate it in a way that gets people excited about it, and just like how it impacted you, where all of a sudden now you're actually passionate about it. You're like, oh my god, like, because maybe maybe you had heard it before, but the
Right.
guy that was on stage that said it this time said it in a way that made you click, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is actually awesome, you know?
I know, I know. And you talked about those myths about, rich people are evil, or money is
Yeah.
evil, the root of all, it's the root of all evil. And these things that sometimes you have to break those chains, those thoughts that people have embedded in their mindset. And so once they see that, one, you're a good person, and
Hmm.
you're talking about, hey, you can actually be wealthy and still be a good person, then they say, wow, you mean I can actually have that. So showing people what's possible, and and we're here to assist them into attaining what's possible, and let them know that you don't have to limit yourself. You can grow as far as you want.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of times it's really just about not only showing people the opportunities that have been right in front of them the entire time, but making sure that, you give them actionable steps and things that they can actually wrap their head around because, people like you and me, we've been in this industry for a while. We understand how money works. We understand how, maybe banking system works, and I still have a lot to learn about insurance, but I'm constantly I'm especially interested in things like whole life insurance policies, with the infinite banking concept,
Right.
and because we're actually trying to integrate that into Mi5 so that we can allow people to benefit from this insane concept that honestly, it, it's not talked about a lot. I feel like because people are like, no, dude, yeah, like, I remember you told me one time, people always say that life insurance is for when you die, but it's
Right.
not. It's not. I'm 21 and I have a life insurance policy. Like, come on, I'm getting cheap policies over here. This is awesome.
Right. Right.
So,
And that's the thing, you're
yeah,
young, and you're young and healthy, so it's going to be a lot less expensive. Like you say,
right.
in some terms, it's actually cheap.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, yeah, the person that I was talking to, they were like, "You're gonna get some great rates on these," and I was like, "Cool, hook me up," like, do
right.
whatever I gotta do. So yeah, kind of segueing into age groups and teaching all this. What are some of the age groups that you like to inspire? Like, do you ever go into like schools and talk about it, or what's like the youngest age group that you would say is could be receptive to this or that you're interested in like exposing to the information?
Well, um, my goal is to talk with the youth. I want to start them in junior high, to maybe your 10th grade, when they just are entering high school, because I think at that point they're searching. Kids are thinking, okay, what's next? And a lot of that the traditional 9 to 5, they're thinking, do I really want to do that? So I think teaching them when they're young, especially when they're like sponges, that there's opportunities out there that they can use these things. These tools are available, but they need to know them young so they can plan. and so they can understand the time value of money. So once they have that concept of time value of money, it's like, oh, if I start now, when I am 50, I will have this. And so they need to, if you can impose that information onto them, then they start to think differently. And
Mhm.
I'm connecting with a lot of younger people, through the Black Business Click who already have that concept. I mean, they're in their 20s and 30s and already they got it. So it needs to be spread more. And I'm thinking that the junior high school, the start of high school is the best area to start.
I agree. Yeah, I mean that's when kids are starting to like think about their future more. I mean that's when it's like even relevant for them to do that. So yeah. So I want to dial it back a little bit to a little bit of a different topic, more on the side of entrepreneurialism. And that would be because you went from being in the medical field to, getting this desire to actually start being a change maker in a completely different industry. So when you were shifting gears per se, like having that paradigm shift, what were some of the challenges that you faced, and then like how did you overcome those? Because for a lot of people, the main thing that keeps them from starting is one, they don't know how to start, and then that is paralyzing to them because of analysis paralysis. They're like thinking about all these different things when really it's just like the longest journey began with one step, right? It's just what's your first step and focus on that. But what are some of the things that you faced and how did you overcome those?
Well, the first thing was like most people, it's like, well, how do I do that? It's like
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. So I'm a people person. So I just found some networking events. I talk to people and I say, hey, what about this? How did you do that? And I attended different networking events and listened to people and said, I asked them, how did you start? Or there would be seminars or investment clubs. And I was a listener. So I would just sit back and listen at first. And then I would I'm a reader, so I love to read books. So, I
Hmm.
use a lot of motivational books. So I just decided, you know what? The only way to get this done is to go out there and start. So initially, which is this is kind of a backstory, is I think my first exposure to business was actually the Amway business. And so the good thing about the Amway, even though most people don't make a dime in there,
Right.
but you have exposure to how to think about business, how to talk to people, how to speak in public, So I was able to learn those techniques about speaking on stage. I took a Toastmasters class. So, and I'm telling you, Toastmasters is probably the most inexpensive way to get a speaking education. So I did
Spectacular.
Toastmasters.
Yeah.
Yeah, did Toastmasters, and I just kept taking small steps, just little things to the point where I started feeling more comfortable. And yes, I would flub up from time to time, but the thing about it is I learned you just have to keep moving forward. And I found mentors that just said, "Well, yeah, you just got to keep moving forward. You may have messed up, but there's always tomorrow."
100%. 100%. Who was your first like very impactful mentor? Was it someone in your family or someone in the Amway business or?
I'd have to say my first impactful mentor would be my grandfather. He had his own business. He had a dental lab,
Mm,
and in a situation where the African American man was just not welcomed in business, but he broke through those barriers and he built a very successful business and did very well for himself.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, really, any time before 1950, I feel like that was still when it was not fully accepted in society. For
Right.
African American people to be like fully integrated and like, oh, he has his own business, all that, and the ways that we've been able to develop as a society is amazing because there's really it's such a controversial topic, especially these days. It's almost like we're regressing.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I don't think it's really a such a problem in everyday life with everyday people as it is on like the news and social media tries to make it out as.
Right.
But anyways, so when you mentioned books, and this is such a common question for almost every entrepreneur, but you know, what would be either one of your favorite books that steered you in the right direction, or one that you're like, you must read this, to everyone out there that's trying to better themselves in self-development space as a person or business. This is what you must read. Like, what are your recommendations?
Oh, I hope you didn't ask me that, but I,
There's a lot, I know.
well, there is a classic, Think and Grow Rich. I think
Yeah,
everybody needs to read that because it is very true. What your thoughts are and what you manifest in your thoughts is what you're going to receive. So I'd say Think and Grow Rich is probably the foundation. I do like the Kiyosaki Rich Dad Poor Dad. Very good book. He talks about the difference between the 9 to 5 and the entrepreneur. So that book has a lot of good contrast to it. Um, Og Bandino, which he's not as popular today, but he has a lot of good books as far as the philosophy of life and how to view and think about life, especially when it comes to troubling times where you find yourself stuck. So any book that Og Mandino has, I think the title is "The Greatest Salesman in the World" or something like that. So he's a very good author. And anything on oh Jim Rohn, any of
oh yeah,
his anything that you can get on him, Jim Rohn, listen to him, and he will put you on the right track.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I second that 100, fully wholeheartedly agree. What's funny about Rich Dad Poor Dad is when I read it, it changed it. I could never think the same after that, because this was right around the time when I was first starting to realize that just because now I had my mindset and my health right from the past that I had had, didn't mean that I had any clue as to what I wanted to do for my career, how to make money, or anything like that. But I had one idea, right? And a lot of people have this idea, but I was like, what do I want to be? Like, I think I want to be a millionaire. That sounds cool. Let's do that,
Mhm.
right? And so I knew that after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, I would never be able to go to college and get a job, and that's how I was going to do it. That wasn't going to be able to be my path to get
Right.
there, especially with how fast I wanted to accomplish that. And so, that book was a huge mover in my mindset. Um, but yeah, so all right. Now, before we go on break here and switch over to Brian, I would really love to kind of touch back on the infinite banking concept, because a lot of people may not even know what it is at all, actually. And they might have never heard of it. Just like kind of how we were saying, most people don't even know what the information is, let alone where to learn more about it and get,
Right.
credible information. So since we have someone who's credible on the show right now, I would love if you could kind of go into that and just give a bird's eye view of it. Like, you don't have to, because it is, a complex topic, but if you could give a bird's eye view how it works and how people could start in, making it work for them.
Well, when you talk about a bird's eye view of infinite banking, what we're talking about is creating generational wealth through life insurance, which has been done. Um, the wealthy have done that for years. So the key is to use either a what we call permanent life insurance, either whole life or IUL, index universal life. And what you do is, as you grow that money, you can use that money to one fund a business venture. You can maybe if you want to fund, you could use it for many things, but the goal is maybe funding for a business venture and let grow that. But pay yourself back, let that money grow, put that money and allow it to grow, and then pass that on to the next generation. Educate them on what they need to do with that. And then as they grow businesses, borrow from themselves because they are their own bank now. You're not. going out to borrow from the bank at, you know, 19% to get something. You can just borrow from yourself, you know. If you're going to buy a car, instead of going to your credit union, just take it from yourself. You are your own bank, and you use that money, and you just continually um, use it, pay yourself back, just like you would pay back the bank, and then you continue to do that and pass it on to the next generation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that was a pretty good high level overview of the concept. How could somebody get started maybe with your company or another company, or how could somebody integrate that into their financial plan?
Yeah, basically all they need to do is reach out to us. Our website is bluehorizonins.com, and or they could give me a call at area code 916-804-6445, and just reach out and let me know kind of what their thoughts are, and I can give them a deeper, detailed explanation on how the infinite banking concept works and how they can get started. So it's all based on their long-term goals and their health and their age, and then we go from there.
Beautiful. So my final question here is: does somebody need to be that does somebody need to be in your local area to get involved with your services, or could it be from anywhere in the country?
It could be anywhere in the U.S. We don't do outside
Okay.
the country, but yeah, anywhere in the U.S. We are licensed in multiple states, and if there's a state that they call us from that we're not licensed in, it won't take us long to get our license in that state.
Amazing. Hey, well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Michael J. Wall can help you out with some infinite banking.
Oh yeah.
Just so you guys know, I am doing that myself. I actually just mentioned it earlier on the show, but it's very easy. There's usually no upfront costs to do it, and they get paid from the insurance company. That's like it's like a commission or something. I'm not educated fully on how it works, but I'm doing it. I'm taking action, and I'm learning as I go. So I think that's guys. If you're curious and how you can make it work for you, talk to Michael, watch some YouTube videos, do your due diligence because it is extremely easy to take action on. It's one phone call away, like literally, and it's just like you answer a couple questions and get started. So yeah, with that, we're gonna go on break here, and then we'll switch it over to Brian, and yeah, stay tuned,
Sounds
guys.
good. All right.
All right, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Oh my goodness, it's already Tuesday. What a fun start to the week. I've got my new fun microphone here. I'm super excited about that. So
Looks pretty cool.
yeah. Michael, I had to step stuff up this week for the show as we get more seasoned here at the Mi5 show. Tonight, if you're just joining us for the second half, we have our guest, Mr. Michael J. Wall. Andrew just did an amazing job kind of highlighting and showcasing your journey, Michael. And I just recently actually got the pleasure to meet you just the other day. It's sometimes it's funny with these shows. Sometimes it's a person that Andrew brings to the table. Sometimes it's a person that I bring to the table. And I can tell you in the short time that we've had a chance to connect, one of the biggest things that I've noticed is just your dedication to serving people, particularly the youth, and just your vision and your passion behind that. So, Michael, I'd love to ask you, where does this passion stem from, and can you give us a little bit more of a context and a peek behind the curtain of your passion for making a positive contribution on the youth and what you aim to do, not just now, because we heard a little bit about what you've done now and how you started your journey, but also like where you're going, because it's very exciting. You gave us some sneak peeks the other day, and I'd love for you to share with everybody here a little bit more about that.
Well, Brian, thanks for asking that. See, I think as my whole makeup, as I'm the type of person that I just love to give. That's part of my DNA makeup. So, thus, going into the medical field was a way to give to people, to help people. So, to helping them in a physical sense. So, helping to heal sick people. Um, Even though I spent a lot of time in the medical field, I knew that there was more out there, that there was more for me to do. And so once I transitioned from the medical field into the real estate and the financial, it was all about helping people. So when I came across the information on the financial services side, I thought to myself, this is such amazing information. But what I notice is a lot of people don't have access to it. They don't understand it. And when you talk to people, they say, I've never heard of that. And growing up, I didn't hear about it. People in my family didn't hear about it. So I was like, okay, so this information for some reason is hidden in certain, secret spots. You got to have the right key to get to it. So, I want to be that key to be able to connect with people, especially young people, because I know what it's like to grow up with very little, and it's not a good place to be. So there's availability out there. There's a way that people can tap into these tools. They just need the knowledge. If they have the knowledge, they can do it. So my goal is to spread that knowledge to as many people as possible. So through different means, whether it's through a one-on-one or doing seminars and so forth. That's how I want to do it.
Absolutely. And it's such a powerful, vision, and one that echoes through kind of every guest that we have on the show, and is really, when you understand the power of impacting people, or you're driven by the desire to impact people, that's really truly something that resonates so well with our community, and with everybody that we collaborate with and come across, and seem to almost manifest magically within our existence here, as if by magic the universe conspires for us to meet amazing individuals like yourself. Michael, I'd love to hear, you were in a field that was helping people. There's a lot of people that are in the medical field and they're very content with, it's a very, I would myself was in human services and used to take care of mentally disabled adults, and very rewarding job, very hard job for sure, and definitely something that has its ups and downs. What was the moment, and what was the mindset that you had when you knew, what, I like this job, I'm taking care of people? What made you shift to thinking, there's something else, outside of this, outside of, having a job?
Well, I've always had this entrepreneurial itch. And so even during the times where I was in the medical field, I dabbled in other things and other businesses. So I knew there was more out there. And it's not that I was, how should I say, I didn't quite, I should say, just leave the medical field. I actually retired from it. So, but I had a plan in place to do more. So I wanted to know when I retire, what am I going to do? Um, because some people retire and their goal is to, just kick it, just sit back and enjoy their retirement, travel, relax, and have fun. But I'm a person who can't sit very long. So I I have a passion to just, I have a drive to do more for people. And I didn't know, at first, but then once I ran into the financial services, it just clicked. And I said, well, now I want to take this and helping people from, I should say, their physical health to their financial health. So now I can do that and I can impact and leave a legacy for other people to, because if you're financially stable, then you have the ability to help other people. So if I can help, 100 or 1,000 people, then they can also help 100 or 1,000 people. And it just continues to spread.
The people helping people effect, and truly a magical one indeed. The education that you're instilling in the youth, especially, right? Starting
Right.
them while they're young to be able to grow up and, know that this isn't something that we aren't taught in school and something that they could teach their youth and so on and so forth. So definitely a noble cause indeed. Now, the entrepreneur itch was itching. You retired. You parted ways from the job. I'm sure at the beginning stages of this, Michael, it was you ran into some struggles. And you ran into kind of figuring out what it is you actually wanted to do. Can you tell us a little bit about the starting stages of your journey and how you found, who you are today through those struggles and emerged from?
Well, like I said, I dabbled in a few businesses. I had a photography business, which was actually going pretty well until the crash. So when 2008 hit, things just tanked in the economy, and my focus was more on the commercial photography industry. So, a lot of businesses probably weren't used, they would keep the same photos they used, 2 years ago. It's like, I'm not paying for new photos. I don't need it. Right. So, I got into some other things. I decided to dabble into the real estate world, which is good at any point, but it was interesting getting into the real estate during the crash. I said, well, when the economy recovers, then I will know what I'm doing. So, um, so stayed into the real estate and just grew. In between that, I had one other business that almost took me out. It was in the food industry. Partnered with someone who just was not on the same page, and it just turned ugly. So that almost took us out, but recovered from that, bounced back, stayed in the real estate, and then stumbled onto the financial services. And then that's when the light bulb went on. That you know what, this I just need to move forward with this, not abandoning the real estate, but adding that to what I'm already doing.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned you almost got taken out there for a second.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, what did that look like? And aside from that, have there been other moments in this journey where you've thought, you know what, uh, I, I gotta do something, or I'm gonna end up back, in the medical field, or have there been those moments?
Well, I won't say back in the medical field, but when we had that crash in the food industry, we lost a lot of money. Between um, having a bad relationship, and the attorney fees and so forth, and the money that I put into the business, it was quite a bit. So I won't say that I was still actually in the still medical field, so I still had a stream of income coming in. It just the fact that okay, now that I have this debt, how am I going to overcome that, right? So it was a little painful emotionally. Um, I had never been taken advantage of like that, but like you say, you live and learn. And as I told Andrew, I'm a reader, so I read a lot of books, and all the successful people that I read about or I've heard speak on stage, they all said that they've had situations where they've hit bottom or came close or they had a partner that ripped them off. And so, then I, in my mind, I'm thinking, so how come you just didn't quit? And they just like said, hey, we're just moving forward. And I saw that now they're successful. So that bug was in my head. It's like, you just don't quit. You just keep moving forward.
Yeah, those lessons that are found in the darkness. And
Yeah.
yeah, every single one of my mentors and as well as myself have been through those moments, and just the resilience that it takes. There is a high percentage of people that during those pinnacle moments and those, instrumental moments, it's either make or break. And there are people that end up breaking. I
Yeah.
know that part of Andrew's story, he had a job free experience and then had to return back and then come back again, to the job free world. So it's definitely, something that is a thing that happens. Now, Michael, I'd love to hear about, what's the future look like? What's the next, 3 years in your space? I think we were talking the other day when we were connecting for the first time. You were speaking about how it's not just the perfect model right now, but you actually have some really big plans, moving forward to have this outreach make a bigger splash. So yeah, let's hear a little bit about that.
Yeah. So like we talked about before, I'm starting out with what the event that we call the Seeds of Wealth Financial Symposium, which our very first one was a great success. I mentioned it earlier in the show that we had a good 70 plus people attend, but we had 140 registrants, for a free event, so you can expect to have more. But we made it a very positive impact. And what we found, the response that we received is that we need to do it again. And so we plan on taking it to Southern California. The event where I held it was actually at my church. They are open to having it quarterly. So with that, and then we have some other venues that we want to connect with and just put this together. I'm connecting with other people who their passion is for the youth also. And that's interesting because I have found that there are a lot of groups out there that are focused on the youth. What I just want to find that right arena to partner to where, because maybe they're not teaching, financial literacy, or maybe they are teaching it to some degree, maybe like the basics, how to balance a checkbook. But for us to go in there, maybe take it to the next level, um, and just find that right partnership to where, because they already have a infrastructure to where they have the outreach and they can touch all the youth. So we just want to partner with them and just make a go of it and make it greater than what they already have.
For sure. Power in people.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of people, are there any people that come to mind when you think about, the success that you've seen over the years and the impact that you've had? Are there any people that have been very impactful along your journey? And how were they able to help you along your journey?
Wow. I mean, that's the thing. There's so many people. There's so many business owners and public speakers that you connect with that it's hard to name just one. Like I told Andrew that my first positive impact was my grandfather because he had his own business. He did very well in a time where the African American community, they weren't accepted as well when it comes to business, but he plowed through it and did very well. Um, I've met, of course, a lot of people meet the big like Tony Robbins and things like that. But personally, um, let me see. I'd say, I don't know, there's like, Jim Bellicera there is, who, even though he's a network marketer, but what I watched with him is he survived a lot of different transitions. So going from one business to another, and each time making it big. Um, let's see. So there's so many people out there that I just connect with. There's brokers out there. Brent Gove, if I watched him, he is just like a people magnet. I mean, he can step into anything and just attract people. Hermie Bacchus, who's another person who just has this ability to just be a magnet towards people, and people follow them. And it's like, so these people I watch and I monitor and see how they do things. Um, Even though I may not do exactly what they're doing, but I watch how they connect with people. So being a powerful connector, I think is the key.
Absolutely. Awesome. Now let's get a little personal here, Michael. What are you doing when you're not impacting the youth with real estate, with life insurance wisdom? What do you like to do outside all this?
I'm pretty low key, but I like working out at the gym. Me and my wife like to travel. We're actually planning to do a couple of cruises. She's just a big cruise person. She wants to go to Alaska, and she wants to, take these Alaskan cruises. She wants to go over into Jerusalem. I mean, so she has a lot of plans. We've been to Australia, we've been to Hawaii. So we just want to do some more traveling, because I like connecting with people. I like seeing new places, new things. Me and my son, we have this idea to just, I don't know if you ever watched those food shows where they go in there and they just test the foods in the different towns.
Yep,
So
yep.
we want to do that. You do a lot of good eating. Just find out where the good food is and show up.
Yeah, that's everyone's dream job, right? Just where the restaurants at, like
Right?
Guy, Mr. Guy there, he's all out in diners, drives, and whatever dashes or whatever.
Right, that one, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Cool, man, awesome. Now, Michael, if you were given $1 million tomorrow to donate to any charity of your choice, where's the money going?
Ooh, that's a big one because there's so many good ones. I like St. Jude's. It is for, I don't know St. Jude's is?
Of course, yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
so St. Jude's would be one. Wounded Warriors would be another. Um, any of those type of charities where people have either are like the kids, they didn't ask for cancer, but they need that help. The families need help. The Wounded Warriors, they're out there fighting for our country, and then they have gotten themselves, blown up or something like that. So, Tunnel for Towers. So those three would probably be my top ones.
Awesome. You're in an auditorium. It's a high school auditorium, Michael. There's 1,000 seniors sitting out in the bleachers. You've got 1 minute to talk to these kids, this youth. What are you saying?
I'd say, you need to have an open mind. You need to absorb information and learn how to separate the good information from the bad information. Don't follow the crowd, because usually if you follow in the crowd, they're doing the wrong thing. So go the opposite way and do what you know is right.
Well said. Well said. Now, is there anything else, Michael, that we should know about, again, your company, your business, and how, you can help virtually anybody from any age? I mean, a lot of people, and I know we've highlighted bits and pieces of this, but a lot of people just don't really recognize how not only essential it is for the people that they're leaving this life and death benefit to, but also themselves. Is there any other information that people should know when it comes to the topic of life insurance?
Well, one, that you definitely can use it when you're alive. I mean, throw away the myth that you can only use it when you're dead. Understand that the younger you are, the better off you are when you get it, and the healthier you are, the better it is. So it's less expensive. You have better rates, and then when you're talking about time value of money, it's better to start young than to wait till you're older, because it just, the impact is so much different.
And you can stack these policies too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
stack them. You can do a blend from whole life to term and blend it and just make it all work. We'll figure it out. So what we do is we do a fact finder. We find out what you want, what your goals are, and we put a plan together for you.
And I love that hands-on approach and just really specifying to the client. And yeah, if you're young, right? That's the thing. If a lot of people, they don't even have life insurance on the brain, but as Andrew shared with us earlier tonight, it's never too young to start, getting involved in this, because you're going to pay a lot less and you're going to receive a greater benefit as the time goes on.
Yeah, talk about a graduation gift. IUL is a great graduation gift.
For those watching with children graduating,
right?
Awesome, Michael. Hey, it's been such a pleasure, man, to hang out with you, to get to know a little bit more about you on a personal level, on a professional level, hear your vision. And really, we know a lot of life insurance people. We've come across a dozen of them in the last year. And I think that there hasn't been one yet that isn't solely focused on making such a positive impact on youth and a positive contribution to youth. And I really just want to applaud you for that. It touched our hearts it touched my heart hearing your story for the first time the other day. And Andrew, having, you invited on here was such a pleasure. We really, really appreciate your time, man.
I appreciate you. And I want to thank you for inviting me.
All right. Well, hey, Michael, on that note, I'm going to let Andrew say one of our world famous lines here to end us off, because it wouldn't be quite right coming out of my mouth. I'm going to switch us over. Andrew,
No, man, where are you going? Come on. No, it's a party. Well, God, that was an amazing way to end it out. I really love, when we're able to go a little bit deeper into just who Michael Walt is, because, this show really isn't about just, hey, man, what's your business? Because that's the format that of course we do dive into that, because, you guys can greatly benefit from the things that we're sharing with you, and that's kind of the point of this, to give you more opportunity. However, being able to be inspired by the things that make an entrepreneur who he is or who she is, those are the kind of things that can help you find your own dream. So
right.
with that, guys, I just want to remind you, there's one thing that you must do. I want to remind you to grab your umbrellas, because Mi5 is taking 2023 by storm, baby. Let's go! Yeah, good night, guys. Have a good night.